Hey Buckeye Bobcats, it's Mr. Cadden. I'm here for Storytime. Tonight we're going to read a story called Randy Riley's Really Big Hit by Chris Van Dusen. I picked this book because I'm hearing it's getting hard. It's getting hard for kids. I know it's getting hard for parents. It's getting hard for teachers too. But we have to stick with it. We can do this and good things will happen when we do. Not every day is going to be a home run. Not every hit's going to be a home run. But keep doing your best, and I promise you good things will happen, Bobcats. Let's hear the story. Randy Riley's Really Big Hit by Chris Van Dusen. Randy Riley stood at bat. He gazed out at the mound. His knees began to tremble, and his heart began to pound. Then Randy started thinking about the pitcher's throw. He wondered, without gravity, how far the ball would go. And soon as he stood there pondering, strike three went whizzing by. "You're out," he heard the umpire call, and walked off with a sigh. See, Randy was a genius. He just couldn't hit the ball. He struck out every time at bat. He wasn't good at all. But something beyond baseball brought a smile to Randy's face. What Randy Riley really loved was stuff from outer space. He studied all the planets. He mesmerized their tilt. He researched how the thrusters on the rocket ships were built. He knew the constellations and the light years to the stars. And wouldn't it be great, he thought, to ride a bike on Mars? When Randy Riley got back home, he went up to his room. He knew he stunk at baseball, and it filled his heart with gloom. So he took his favorite robots from the shelf above his bed and staged a game of baseball with his robot team instead. That night before he went to sleep, Randy scanned the sky, and through his Spaceboy telescope, a glimmer caught his eye. He fiddled with the focus till he saw it crystal clear. It was a massive fireball, and it was coming near. Alarmed, he started plotting the projection of its path. He formulated diagrams. He double-checked his math. He calculated quickly and concluded with a frown. In 19 days, the fireball would crash into his town. Randy Riley flew downstairs to warn his mom and dad. The impact would be major and the damage would be bad. He explained the situation until his face was red, but they told him he was tired and they sent him off to bed. Poor Randy couldn't sleep at all. He thought the whole night through. By morning it was obvious just what he had to do. He gathered what he needed with determination, resolution, and lugged it off behind the shed to work on his solution. Randy toiled for 18 days while other kids had fun, but he was on a mission, so he worked till he was done. I wonder what he's building. At breakfast on the 19th day, the news announcer said, "This is a special bulletin. Emergency, code red. A fireball's approaching. It just flew past the moon. It's coming fast, so be prepared for it to hit by noon." Everybody burst outside as fear and panic grew, but Randy ran back to the shed. He had a job to do. And we have a job to do. He grabbed a tarp and gave a tug. It slid off to reveal the mighty mammoth robot man he welded out of steel. The robot needed power, and Randy knew precisely that 97 batteries would energize it nicely. The eyes lit up, the engine whirled. Step one was now complete. So far so good, thought Randy. Then he thundered down the street. A lot of batteries. Step two of Randy's mission took place just south of town, in a section known as Millville, where it slowed the robot down. The robot ripped the smokestack off an old abandoned mill. Then Randy turned the throttle knob to march him up the hill. I wonder what he's going to do. Back in town, the people were as frightened as could be, but Randy knew the time had come for critical step three. The robot burst out through the trees, stepped up, and took a stance, while everyone fell silent, as if frozen in a trance. Randy's eye was on the ball. No room for error now. 3, 2, 1, and flip the switch. A swoosh, and then kapow! A blinding flash, a booming crash. He knew what he had done. Randy Riley had a hit, his very first home run. The fireball sailed out of sight. A rousing cheer began. Hooray for Randy Riley and his giant metal man! And as the crowd went crazy, Randy stood there with a grin and mumbled, how predictable, a fastball low and in. When things returned to normal, which one day they will, after Randy saved the day, he went back to the baseball field to join his friends at play. And though he swings in earnest, he rarely hits the ball. But that's okay, because Randy had the biggest hit of all. The end. Okay, Bobcats, remember, things can be hard some days. You keep trying. We keep working. That's what we do. We work hard, okay, Bobcats? Don't give up. We've got like 20 more days of school to go. We can do this. We can do this together. Okay, remember, you are loved.